All right, today we're going to get right under the hood of the EV revolution. We're looking at something that is, it's quietly changing the entire game, and that's Huawei's electric powertrain, DriveONE. Now, this is way more than just a motor. We're talking about a completely integrated system. Power, smarts, efficiency, all rolled into one. It's really redefining what an electric car can even do. So let's get right into it. So let me ask you a question. What really powers an electric car? Yeah, sure, the obvious answer is a battery and a motor, right? But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. The real magic, the secret sauce that makes an EV truly great, it's all about how everything else plays together. It's this incredible dance between hardware and software, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
You see these cars all the time now, right? They look so sleek, so futuristic, but believe me, the biggest revolution isn't what you see on the outside. Nope. The real action is happening underneath all that shiny metal. We're talking about a totally new way of thinking about a car's powertrain. Its heart and its brain. And it turns out, Huawei is one of the main architects building this new future.
Okay, so here's a quick look at where we're headed. We'll kick things off with this idea of a hyper-converged powertrain. Then, we'll get into the fun stuff, power, speed, and something they call flash charging. After that, we'll see how they keep it all running cool and for a long, long time. We'll touch on the intelligent nervous system, the brains of it all, and then wrap it up by looking at the total driving experience. All right, first up, the hyper-converged powertrain. This is really about going from many, many parts down to just one. It's the core idea behind everything DriveONE does.
So what on earth is hyperconvergence? Well, think about your smartphone for a second. Remember when you had to carry a separate phone, a camera, maybe an MP3 player? Now it's all in one device. That's exactly what Huawei is doing for cars. They're taking all these separate power components, the motor, the charger, the converter, you name it, and fusing them into one single super efficient unit. And let me tell you, this isn't just about making things neat and tidy. It's a total game changer for how you design an EV from the ground up.
Just to give you some perspective, this is the old way of doing things. Look, it was a complex mess. You'd have all these separate boxes from different companies, all connected by this spaghetti monster of wires and tubes. It was heavy, it was inefficient, and it took up a ton of precious space. It was basically like trying to build a high-end PC with random parts you found at a garage sale.
And here's the new way. This is what it's all about. Huawei's system can integrate up to 10 different components into a single 10-in-1 unit. So what you're looking at right here, this is hyperconvergence in the flesh. It's clean, it's compact, and it is incredibly optimized. It's both the muscle and the brain of the car, all in one neat package.
And this isn't just some abstract engineering idea. The real-world benefits are massive. You save 220 millimeters in height. For car designers, that is a huge deal. You get rid of mounting brackets you don't need anymore. You cut out 5 meters of wiring. The whole thing can weigh as little as 70 kilograms. It all adds up to a much, much higher power density. Basically, you get more punch and a much smaller, lighter package. Okay, let's talk about what everybody really cares about: power, speed, and flash charging. Because an integrated system is cool, but what does it actually do on the road? This is where things get really exciting. It all starts with this number, 800 volts. The entire system is built on a high-voltage architecture. Now, the easiest way to think about this is like water pressure in a hose. The higher the voltage, the more energy you can push through the system, and you can do it way faster. This is the absolute key to unlocking everything else: crazy fast charging and just massive sustained power. And what does that 800-volt system get you? It gets you this: 15 minutes. That's all it takes to charge the battery from 30% all the way up to 80%. They call it flash charging, and it's basically a declaration of war on range anxiety. Imagine that, a quick coffee break, and you've just added hundreds of kilometers of range. Game changer. And then there's the speed. We're talking about motors that can spin up to 25,000 RPM. Let that sink in. That is an absolutely insane speed. So what does that matter? Well, a motor that spins that fast can be smaller and lighter while still producing a ton of power. And that is how you get that neck-snapping, sports car-level acceleration. We're talking 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in as little as 3 seconds.
So how is all this even possible? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is a material called silicon carbide, or SiC. Think of it as the secret ingredient. Compared to the old-school silicon that's in most electronics, SiC is just a total superstar. It's lighter, it's smaller, it can handle way more heat and voltage, and it's more efficient. Honestly, without SiC, that 800-volt platform and all the crazy performance we just talked about, it just wouldn't happen.
Okay, so you've got all this incredible power, but there's a catch, right? Power creates heat, a lot of heat. And if you can't get rid of that heat, your performance drops and things start to break. So let's look at how they make sure this thing is built to last.
This is super clever. Instead of the typical method, just running water through a jacket around the motor, Huawei's system actually submerges the key parts of the motor directly in cooling oil. And the difference is just, wow. Look at these numbers. The winding temperature drops by 30 degrees Celsius. The magnetic steel is 15 degrees cooler. This means you can make the motor 15% smaller, and get this, you can potentially double how long it lasts.
So what does that mean for you, the driver? Well, it means you can do a 0 to 100 launch 20 times in a row without the car losing any power. The performance just stays there. Plus, that oil is constantly lubricating everything, so it even extends the life of the bearings. It's really all about making sure that incredible performance is there for you whenever you want it, not just for the first couple of seconds.
And speaking of those bearings, here's a really cool, kind of nerdy detail. A weird problem with high-voltage motors is that they can create these tiny electrical currents that actually eat away at the bearings over time. It's called electrical corrosion. So Huawei came up with this patented solution that basically creates a little bypass circuit for that electricity to escape safely. It's a small thing, but it massively extends the life of the whole motor.
Okay, so we've talked about the muscle and the endurance. Now it's time to talk about the brains of the operation. Because DriveONE isn't just a bunch of impressive hardware. It's a really, really smart system that uses software and AI to completely transform the driving experience.
I absolutely love this description from the engineers themselves, a millisecond-level supernerve reflex. I mean, how cool is that? It perfectly describes what their software, iTrack, is trying to do. The whole idea is to make the car react to the road faster and more accurately than a human being ever could.
And the numbers behind this are they're mind-boggling. The system is literally reading the road 10,000 times a second. And based on what it reads, it's adjusting the power to the wheels 1,000 times a second. So think about that. If you hit a patch of ice or a big pothole, iTrack can catch and correct for wheel slip before your brain has even registered that something happened. The result is a ride that's unbelievably smooth and stable.
And that same intelligence is used for safety, especially with the battery. The AI battery management system is constantly talking to the cloud, analyzing the health of every cell. What this does is it flips safety from being reactive, waiting for a warning light to come on, to being proactive. It can actually predict a potential problem up to 24 hours in advance, giving you plenty of time to get it checked out. That's a huge peace of mind.
All right, so we've covered the smart integrations, the raw power, the built-in reliability, and the intelligence behind it all. So now let's bring it all together and see what the total driving experience is like and, importantly, how this technology stacks up against the competition.
This is a really important slide because it gives us some context. How does DriveONE compare to the big guys like BYD and Tesla? And as you can see, everyone's kind of playing a different game. Peak power, they're all pretty close, honestly. But their core advantage is different. BYD is an absolute master of scale and making things affordable. Tesla, as we all know, is famous for their software and their lead in self-driving tech. Huawei's special sauce, as we've been talking about, is that deep, deep integration of the hardware and the software, that digital synergy and AI that makes the whole powertrain so incredibly responsive.
And all of this really brings us to one final big question. When you look at technologies like DriveONE, you see this incredible fusion of old-school mechanical engineering and super advanced digital smarts. The lines are getting really blurry. So it makes you wonder, as we go forward, are we even driving a machine anymore? Or are we really just piloting a very, very powerful computer on wheels? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive.